back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining us again this evening. We're always happy for people like you that are interested in what's happening in our cities. Because it is important for good government that there be a good flow of information between the people that live in the city, the people that are on the city councils, the mayor, and the city staff. So we're glad that you're interested in what's happening in all of the 9 cities in CCX's viewing area. If you haven't watched our show before, each week we'll have someone on from one of the 9 cities that will be telling about what are the current top issues that they're working on, what are some of the future things that are going to be happening, so you'll know what's coming up in your city and in the other cities in our area. And then from time to time we'll have shows like we're going to do tonight. Tonight we're going to have a show about the city's comprehensive plan, and then have several people from several of our cities give us their opinion and what their city is doing on it. The comprehensive plan that cities need to do is under the Metropolitan Council. Every 10 years they need to update the comprehensive plan that they put together, and it is a rather lengthy endeavor. It covers a lot of different issues and says what the city is planning to do, and then it's used as part of their development and redevelopment areas as they're moving forward. Now, some of the areas that are covered in the comprehensive plan might be ones that you'd be interested in putting in your ideas and your thoughts on an area. Some of the things that they do are land use, the housing that's in the city, things about transportation, the parks and trails, the recreation and open spaces, the surface water, the water supply, and the sanitary sewer system. These are all areas that are under the Metropolitan Council and that our cities need to say, okay, where are we at in dealing this? What are the next things that we want to do? And it is a process that takes quite a bit of time. It probably takes the better part of a year as they're putting together all the details that need to go into place. But what we're emphasizing for you tonight is that they do need to have input from citizens. They need to hear from you if any of these areas are ones that are particularly important to you. So we'll ask you when you have the opportunity. There'll be meetings for input in each of the cities, or there'll be opportunities to give input on surveys and to bring your information forward. So we hope that you'll be part of the process, and we hope that you'll get some information that'll help you think about this area. Now we'll start with our first guest.
Of course, our comp plan is coming up for review and renewal. We have to meet that deadline of December the 31st, 2018.
Right.
And the staff has been reviewing the existing comp plan for any and all revisions that are necessary. And we'll also conduct public meetings where we encourage residents to come in and look at the plan and share their ideas, their thoughts, and aspirations. And again, a comp plan is an aspirational exercise.
Right.
It tries to look at where the community's been, where it is, and where they would like it to go.
Right.
And it involves a great amount of detail, great mass of data, as you know,
Oh, yes.
and many maps and illustrations and descriptions of what developments are believed that the staff, the city, the citizens, the electeds believe are needed, and what we hope can happen in the future.
Now, some of the areas, maybe you can run across them. What are the areas that the comprehensive plan focuses on?
Well, the Met Council actually is responsible.
Yeah, they tell you what you have to look at.
Yeah, and so their purview is planning, and it's necessary. Some entity has to get our small cities to get together and coordinate our activities.
Right.
The Met Council has actually what's referred to as 4 systems. And that, of course, is land use, transit, wastewater treatment, and parks, and green space. And But in addition to that, this year the comp plan will include sections on housing, sustainability, and the environment. And it's a very complex document.
Oh, yes.
And if anybody, those intrepid souls who would venture to the Met Council's website, you can read it for quite a while and still feel like you've only dipped your toe in the water.
Well, now, people might be interested in parts of those areas, so you'll have some hearings where people can come and give you their ideas.
Yes, exactly. And the people who have the expertise in this
Right.
area are the development director, the zoning official, and it's a specialty, and it really does come down to some basic value choices.
Oh, yeah.
But it takes some specialists with expertise to get through all the planning speak,
Right.
and help people to understand and encourage them to share with us what their choices would be.
Right. Now, is your current comprehensive plan on your city's website?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I don't access it. I
Okay,
have
right.
I have the 2009
Yeah, they give
hard
it to you.
copy.
They
I'm
give
a little
it to you.
old-fashioned.
But people can go there and kind of review it and to see if there's any areas that concern them,
Exactly.
because you do need the input. So
yes.
people have to be aware that it's up and coming, and you're going to have your input sessions in the next year.
Yes, and just as we did in 2009, starting in the
Right.
late summer and into the fall,
Yeah.
we had 2 or 3 sessions where we invited the public in, and again, in that case, we had outside consultant who just specialized on developing the plan.
Right.
And there was a lot of explanation about how the process would work. Of course, it goes to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission reviews the plan, has public hearings.
Right.
They vote to approve or not. They pass it on to the council. We review it, vote to approve or not, and then submit it to the Met Council. Again, I think with having those people who understand the process and
Right.
the content, it gives folks a chance to, it helps them to
Right.
decide those things, whether it refers to parks or new development.
Right. So it's kind of that's going to be getting into gear in this coming year.
Yes, exactly. And again, the deadline for that is December the 31st,
Right.
2018.
Okay.
So we have some time.
Well, the Met Council, as you know, is charged with coordinating the many governments
Right.
within the greater metropolitan area. And every 10 years, they require that we revise or revamp our comprehensive plan for the city of Golden Valley. And we take
And all the cities around
and
have
all
to do
the
that.
cities
Right.
in the metropolitan
Right.
area, correct. So we are focused on the future, and we're looking out to the year 2040. And what we're doing is we're taking into account current census data, and then population projections based on our best research,
Right.
employment growth, and community preferences in terms of how they want to see the city evolve.
Oh, right. Right.
And in all of that, we take into account our community assets, business, cultural, civic, and so forth. And we try and envision then what the future might look like and what we need to do to prepare for it.
Right. Yeah, it's a forced planning for the future, right? I'm sure that cities are doing that kind of thing anyway, but this is set in stone. You have to do it.
This is true.
And it's a big project.
It is a very
Yeah.
big project. We started working on this in 2016, and we won't finish it until later in 2018.
Yeah.
So yes, and of course it involves a lot of public participation.
Right.
We've had any number of open houses and special meetings to discuss the 7 priority areas
Oh,
that
yeah.
are
Maybe
part.
you could tell people about what are the areas that you're actually looking at.
Sure. Well, there are 7 priority areas that we're required to look at or can choose to look at. and I'll just rattle them off here
Sure.
very quickly, includes land use, housing, resilience and sustainability, water resources, transportation, parks and natural resources, and economic competitiveness. And of course, every city wants to plan for its brightest future, and that is what the City of Golden Valley is doing in all of these 7 categories.
Definitely.
We've held hearings, and those hearings are now, the results of those hearings, I should say, are now being compilated, and we will be getting a rough draft of our comp plan probably in April.
Okay.
And the public will have another chance to weigh in at that time to comment on what they are seeing. And the final product that will eventually go to the Met Council will be produced in the 3rd quarter of next year.
Now, the current comprehensive plan is on your city's website.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to see what's the totality of it, they could see it there.
Yes.
But a lot of people aren't going to be interested in every single area, but this is definitely the time for input if there's some area that's really important to you.
Exactly. And again, the city is always glad to hear from our residents and to collect their comments, which will be incorporated into the end product.
Right.
And I mean, when we talk about residents, we're talking about folks, you know, mom and dad.
Right.
We're talking about business owners. We're talking about our city commissions, including especially our planning commission and our environmental commission, and of course the city council.
Right.
So it's been a very focused and very thorough process, and I'm looking forward to an end product that's going to serve the city well going forward.
And then it is the basis of your development and redevelopment in the future.
It is.
I mean, it has to either A, meet with that, or B, you have some reason why you should deviate from it.
Exactly. We're going to be taking a look at our zoning and any number of other issues around land use, which will, of course, then position us for the future in terms of development and redevelopment in those areas of the city where it can happen.
Right. Yeah, so it is an important undergoing. So we'll highlight it for people and ask them to kind of dip into it and kind of look to see what's involved and if there's something that really concerns them.
Exactly. And then just to remember, or to remind, that is, your viewers, that April of 2018 will be a critical time for citizens to step up and
definitely
comment on the draft document, because shortly after that it will become more final.
Right.
Yes.
So you need to get everybody involved in the process that's interested.
Exactly.
You never have everybody, but.
That's right.
And then if people want updates on what's happening in the comprehensive plan, there is a process to sign up for updates.
Yes, and to your earlier point, you can visit the city's website, and there will be updated information there. But if folks want more timely information, or if they have a specific question that they need answered, they can call Jason Zimmerman, our planning manager, at 763-593-8099.
You know, and the things that we look at when we're putting together the comprehensive plan is we look at land use and what's a good fit, because you want to you want to plan, but you also want to be somewhat flexible
Oh,
too.
right.
And we know right now we have plenty of retail, we have lots of good restaurants, we have a good park system plan, we have good school districts. So the gravel mining area is the place where things have really expanded in the last 5 to 10 years. And going forward, that's kind of the focus right now, just because there's so much available land. And so we want to plan, okay, do we really need more retail?
What should
Probably
go there?
not.
Right.
You know, so we're trying to think of what would be some really good fits, because we, like I said, we really want to try to bring in jobs. That's kind of our focus right now. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, Amazon looking for a new headquarters. You know, there's the one in Seattle, and they're looking for another site. And I think for Minnesota, the two sites that have been kind of brought up in the media is the Ford site in St. Paul, and then the gravel mining area in Maple Grove. I know that I think Texas is interested in hosting Amazon, and I believe Denver is as well. So there would be some competition, but I know that Maple Grove is certainly considering, you know, putting in an application, because we have a lot to offer. And that would really be great. That would be a great boost to our economy in Maple Grove. So I'm in favor of it. So I'm hoping that that'll be something we'll look at. But the other things that go into the comp plan is, you know, transportation, looking at water resources, parks and trails, housing, and so, in fact, if you go on the website, here we go again. There's maps that go through each quadrant, and we have kind of proposed, you know, what we think would be a good fit, like, you know, maybe some high density, you know, housing, or some high density office, or maybe some office warehouse, like off the 610 area, so that it would be easy for, you know, freight to get there. May even need to have a new school with, you know, all of the housing that's coming in. But people can go onto the website and see some of the proposed uses, and certainly attend any of the meetings. Like I said, we have to.
Well, no, you've had some public input meetings on those issues already. When did you have? What ones have already been done?
Those were in May and April of this year. I don't know if we're having any others. I know that on October 2nd. At 5:30 in the mayor's conference room, we're kind of reconvening. I think we kind of took a break over the summer. But we're going to start, you know, putting more meat on the bones in terms of what kind of a plan we're going to submit to the Met Council. And like I said, we have to do that by December 18th, and then they have a 6-month review period. So.
Yeah, all of our cities are hard at work on that. It's a process that takes time.
It does.
But it does keep everybody focused on what do we really want to do in our city. It makes you take the time to do that.
Well, and we have so many opportunities. Like I said, with the 610 coming in, there's a lot of different available land in and around 610. And then, of course, the gravel mining area. So there's still a lot of available buildable land. And we just want to make sure that we are really mindful of what we do and not overdo.
And then citizens can actually, a lot of people have no idea what this is, But there is a copy of your current plan, because it's done every 10 years.
Correct.
Every city has, every 10 years needs to put this time into analyzing where they're at, where they want to go in the future, so they can actually look at that. People might not have an interest in the whole of it, but you might have an interest in individual areas, like if you're really concerned about water quality, or you're concerned about what housing goes where. You know, they should take the time.
Or transportation. Like I said, when we did our survey, that was the thing that people were really bothered by, the traffic congestion. And so that's something that, you know, we want to make sure, if we're going to keep building, that we have, you know, the supportive infrastructure to make sure people can get in and around where they need to be, you know, in a timely way.
And they
comprehensive plan is designed to kind of give us guidance of the growth that the Met Council wants to
Right.
see happen in the metro area. We are a city, we have our own body, we have
right.
our own desires and directions, so it's a matter of reconciling those two differences
Right.
and coming up with something that's acceptable to both sides. And that's kind of what the process is. And I don't spend a lot of time, and I haven't spent a lot of time dealing with the comprehensive plan as it's written. Staff does.
Oh, definitely.
City planning, city planners, they do. But what we look at the business's needs, we look at individual needs within the community. And I think a lot of the directions we get pulled, people want us to loosen up some of our ordinances.
Oh, sure.
Change it so that they can do more, build higher. Sometimes it's people request higher density. Sometimes they don't want the higher density.
Right. Yeah, there can be a pull there.
And that's a push-pull with the Met Council as well. So we like to do it from the consumer, from the citizen, from the business owner's perspective for the comp plan as much as possible. And again,
well, and it is a process that, I don't want to use the word forces, but it helps cities focus on what they want their future to look like, right?
the comp plan does. The comp plan in our council, we would get a lot of argument with that.
Okay.
We really have a different idea.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I think when we go our opposite direction, somehow we come together. You know, because we look at things from a perspective of, you know, promoting the business's desires, the citizens' desires, and at the end of the day, oftentimes, whether it be a higher density, some people would, you know, we say, hey, yeah, it would be beneficial if we built up here, you know, for whatever industry, whatever business, they would be able to cash flow better. They would be, whatever it happens to be.
Right.
So oftentimes we do end up in the same place, but we go about it very differently.
A different way,
Very differently, yes.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of back and forth on higher density and the amount of affordable housing and differences of opinion.
Right. The comp plan, you know, probably one of the biggest complaints I've heard from other mayors is dealing with the affordable housing piece of it. Well, I alluded to earlier that we have a lot of residents. We're primarily single-family residents in Crystal. And in that, we have a lot of natural occurring affordable housing. You know, you've got 1950 builds, some 60s, some 40s, and they're very affordable. We have a lot of first-time home buyers coming to our community. It is a place where people can, you know, in their jobs, make a living, pay for their mortgage, pay for their vehicles, pay for their groceries, and they're not overextended. And that's what makes Crystal, I think, very attractive. So when it comes to the comp plan, there's not a lot we need to do as far as increasing our affordable housing. It exists.
And then part of it was initially to control the outreach of the cities and keeping it from getting too straggled too far out, right?
Right. And you know, when we as a city try to do something, we're dealing with private owners. And that's our struggle. You know, Met Council can say what they want. We can say what we want. We still have to deal with people with property rights, and they're going to do what they want to do. So I think a lot of the discussions are going to go, we are fully developed. We can't redevelop a block at a time or 2 or 3 blocks at a time, which many communities can. But are there other things we can do by raising some density within our neighborhoods? If you look at the housing in the metro, you're seeing those large developments of very high density housing. We don't have blocks we can do that with.
Where you can actually build those.
But our ordinances, if we wrote them a little bit different, would allow something that's just kind of disappeared. Duplexes, fourplexes, small apartment buildings. They're not being built. What's being built in the metro is simply the big projects. And smaller developers just, they don't exist in this environment right now. And a lot of that has to do with our ordinances. So we'll be kind of training ourselves up this year. That's we have some people that we're going to have come in and have those conversations. Is what are we doing that's preventing some of this freshening up of our neighborhoods? And ultimately, it may be an increase in density. That's not really our goal at all. I would say that would be a Met Council goal. Ours is to redevelop and refresh our neighborhoods and make communities that are close. Two completely different approaches, but it may end up in the same place.
And then your staff will do a large share of the work on the comprehensive plan because there's a lot of specific details, but then there will be some time in the future for community input into it, right?
Right. I've not been through that process, so I if they're the elements that the community is going to be involved in, I know, like we do on every other thing, we're going to make sure that as much notice is given as possible, and we do it in the right order, and we do it in a way that we can process that and make that part of our goals. So.
Well, and the plan is due, I think, if I remember right, the end of 2018.
2018, yes.
So that's where people are just getting into the beginnings of it, and you're starting to hear about it in the local paper and on the local
We'll be
television.
getting into it later in the year. We're not into it yet, but some communities are.
Now, you've got information about your current comprehensive plan on your website, right?
Correct. You can read the whole copy.
Right. So,
in fact, we've had people do community shows like this on the comprehensive plan.
So that if people out there are wondering what are we talking about and what's happening, what is your city focused towards, that they could find all that out by looking on the website.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great resource.
And it's, I don't know how many pages, but it's a number of pages because I looked at it.
It's plenty thick.
It's plenty thick. You can take your time to go through it, but if a particular area or something is interesting to you, then you could focus on it.
Right.
And also the other part about comprehensive plans is once you've put it together, then you need to share it with people that share your borders, right?
Correct.
Because you might impact Robbinsdale or Golden Valley or New Hope, so you have to share your plans with each other. So that's part of the process too.
Right. And with the borders that we have these crazy borders where you think you're in the middle of New Hope and you're in Crystal. Same thing in Robbinsdale. You think you're in Robbinsdale, but you're in Crystal.
Yeah, zigzaggy borders, right.
Us especially, because our borders are so funky.
Right.
We really do impact each other's neighborhoods.
So, and that's part of the process too, that then you share them, see if there's any ideas from your surrounding cities, or if you're all kind of working towards the same ends.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank all of the people from all the cities that gave us information tonight about what their city's comprehensive plan is undertaking and what are the issues that are important for them and how they're going about it. We hope that you learned something, and we hope that maybe it triggered a little curiosity in your mind about what your cities are doing. All of the cities would have their comprehensive plan available up at City Hall, but they also have it available on their website. It's probably, 150, 200 pages, but you can go to just put individual areas on it. We hope that you'll tune in next week for part 2 about our city's comprehensive plans. Thank you for being